As you know, Chief Acevedo's mother is currently in hospice in California, and he is at her side. He is closely monitoring this officer-involved shooting and is in daily contact with us regarding the ongoing investigations. Chief Acevedo and the Austin Police Department would like to extend our condolences to the family of Larry Eugene Jackson Jr. Anytime a life is lost, it's tragic, and we understand emotions are high, and we ask everyone to allow this case to go through the investigative process. The Austin Police Department is committed to doing a thorough and comprehensive investigation into this incident, which will include a criminal investigation conducted by our Special Investigations Unit, along with the Travis County Assistant District Attorney's Office. We will also have an administrative investigation conducted by the Austin Police Department Internal Affairs Division, which will be monitored by the Office of the Police Monitor. On July 26th, APD Detective Charles Kleinert was at the Benchmark Bank located at 1508 West 35th Street conducting follow-up investigation on a bank robbery that had occurred earlier that day. Detective Kleinert was in plain clothes and displaying his Austin Police Department credentials on his shirt collar. While Detective Kleinert was conducting follow-up, Mr. Larry Jackson came to the front doors of the bank and attempted to open them. This happened at 4:04 p.m. and the doors were locked based on the earlier robbery that had taken place that day. Mr. Jackson leaves, but returns a minute later and again attempts to open the doors at that time. At this point, a bank employee comes to the front door, unlocks it, and goes out front to speak with Mr. Jackson. According to this bank employee, Mr. Jackson provided fictitious identification. The bank employee went back inside the bank and notified Detective Kleinert of her suspicions. While we understand there is a belief in the community that Mr. Jackson was at the bank to conduct legitimate bank business, we have specific information regarding the fictitious identification and that Mr. Jackson was at the bank in an attempt to commit a fraud. We cannot give any additional information at this point regarding the specific details to protect the integrity of witness statements that we have not yet taken regarding this part of the investigation. Detective Kleinert goes outside to speak with Mr. Jackson, and after 2 to 3 minutes, Mr. Jackson flees on foot. Detective Kleinert pursues Mr. Jackson on foot, and at one point during the foot pursuit, he stops a motorist and employs their aid to catch up to Mr. Jackson. Regardless of the reason for the foot pursuit, the response to resistance will be investigated for compliance with state law and departmental policy. Detective Kleinert ends up in a struggle with Mr. Jackson under the bridge over Shoal Creek. During the struggle, Detective Kleinert's weapon discharges one time, fatally striking Mr. Jackson in the back of the neck. Part of the ongoing investigation will focus on whether his weapon discharged intentionally or accidentally. We still have several interviews to conduct in this investigation and cannot provide any additional information at this time regarding the struggle that took place between Detective Kleinert and Mr. Jackson.
The gun, was it still in the officer's holster when it went off?
We do not believe the gun was in the officer's holster when it went off.
Are you aware if Mr. Jackson had a weapon at all?
We did not locate a weapon on Mr. Jackson or at the scene of the incident.
Was the man that was shot and killed in any way connected to the initial bank robbery that was being investigated, or are you ruling out that connection?
We do not believe there is any connection between the bank robbery that took place that morning and the incident involving Mr. Jackson the afternoon.
Have you identified the witness that was sent out?
We have not yet identified that witness, so the public's assistance is still greatly needed in that area if they can help us with that.